Thank you so much, Brian. And I did want to give that Tribe of Titans a shout out. It is an awesome app that you can put on your phone. You can access it on the website. They have Ask a Broker, Ask a Lender. You can talk about tax strategies. You can talk with other investors. It's such a great community to be a part of, along with the GOB. So take a look at it. It's an awesome app. I use it all the time. April, how excited? Oh, is your mic on?
Technical difficulties. April, how excited are you for this upcoming panel?
Oh my gosh, putting this panel together, I got more and more excited with each person we added. It's rare that we get such an awesome group together, and such a group that I'm hoping to be a part of one day, yes. Aspiring to be as successful as these ladies that are coming up.
So our first guest, we have Sandia Sesadri from Multifamily For You. Isabel Smith Guarino with Residential Assisted Living. Nicole Gauthier with Wicked Holdings, LLC. And Snowy Zhu with A Strategy Management.
And our moderator has 30 years of investment management experience with a focus on commercial real estate. She has overseen the sale of over 200 investment properties with a valuation of over $8.7 billion. Among other affiliations, she is the past president of CREW, which is Women in Commercial Real Estate. And she is now the executive director of the Marshall Bennett Institute of Real Estate at Roosevelt University. I'd like to bring up Colette English Dixon.
Good morning, everyone. It's nothing like the red carpet to come up to do a panel, is it? It's like, that's really cool. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Good morning. Good to see you. Sit down, have a chat. So it's my honor to be here. Appreciate April kind of overselling who I am. But in my career, as you might imagine, the whole idea of the positioning of women in the commercial real estate industry has been kind of top of mind for some obvious reasons. I totally think that the progress that we've made over the past 40-ish years since I've been in and around this space is far less than it needs to have been. But there's a lot of room for growth, and if we keep the focus on it, we'll get there, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as my role as president of CREW Network in the past, one of the things that's been really key to that organization is how it has looked at the commercial real estate industry and how women are positioned in it, how women are challenged by it, what the opportunities are for the industry, and how we can possibly bridge the gap. I have with me today 4 women who are working really, really hard to help bridge that gap by their personal success, by their industry engagement, and by their willingness to kind of talk about how it works and how it doesn't. So we're just gonna have a conversation. I think that's actually more fun. I hope you guys like ping each other, and I'm also big for like throwing in another question other than the ones that I put on the paper. So we're just gonna ride with this. And I think we have 43 minutes and 20 seconds. And I think maybe toward the end, we'll see if anybody has any questions they might want to ask you about maybe what you're doing personally in your business or any other sort of topic we might want to handle. So just to kind of start it off on kind of the big picture, the industry has always been very male dominated, but you have each found your own pathway. And I'd love for you to tell us what you think has worked best for you as you have made your way into the industry. And do you think being a woman has helped? That's a great question.
Yeah.
Whoever wants to jump in first.
I can start. My name is Sandia Sesadri, and I've also, as a background, I'm an engineer by profession. So that also, I started out in a very male-dominated area of electrical engineering and then onto business. So I think it's actually a competitive advantage. I mean, as the one or two or few girls in the room in an engineering class, you get noticed more. So use it to your advantage as needed. Make those connections. I mean, it's easier for someone in a conference to remember me than, I don't know, some other John Doe who looks like the John Doe next to him, right? As an example. So use it to your advantage. Don't look at it as a weakness. The second thing is produce results. I mean, do the stuff you do quietly, but get it done, because results speak louder than anything else. There's a lot of people with much bigger social media presence, but when you show results, eventually people realize it and they'll come and see it. So for me, I'm a PTA mom, so to speak, right? So there's always the caring, nurturing side of us as women. And the way that translated during COVID in my properties is we did goodie bags for our residents, which had things like toilet paper. We gave away Thanksgiving turkey. So who does turkey and toilets in this room? Whoever had a property in 2020, how many of you did free turkey or toilet paper to your residents? Okay, so guess what happened in that property? This is the property we acquired in 2019. We sold it in 2021. So our hold period was about 27 months and we tripled our investors' money. That's 3x, right? So the results speak for themselves. So now I have raving fans from those investors. So now they refer me to other investors. And that's how I build my brand. Quietly, just get the job done, but do it in your style. So for me, doing the turkey and toilet paper helped all of our residents come forward, build a relationship with our property management company a little bit more. So when they couldn't pay the rent, they came forward. They filled out the applications for rent relief. I only had to evict one tenant in all of COVID. That's my results. So eventually the results will show. So do it your way, your style. You don't have to mimic somebody else's style.
That was amazing. I couldn't agree more, especially with the first part, just saying, even the previous speaker to us, he was saying, be unique, be different. What is it about you that makes you stand out? Whether it's being a woman or being anything, it doesn't matter. Use whatever you have that does make you stand out to your advantage, right? If someone's going to come talk to you because you're different, have the conversation, be open to that. So whatever it is about you, use it. So I think that it definitely is a helpful advantage. And I think that if anything, yeah, you just have to use what you've got.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I also came from a very male dominated background, oil and gas being one, and also a finance degree, and being only one of two girls in my class at the time. So yeah, I definitely second that. Also, being different is okay. That's something that I've learned to embrace. Hence my hair. This is one of the reasons why, of course, on the picture, my hair is straight, but I love the fact that, you know, as women, we can stand out just from being a woman, but also really take notice of the traits that we have and embrace that.
Yeah, agree too. So like everybody said that being a woman make me stand out of the boys, right? So my husband was joking like, yeah, probably I won't be able to do this without you, but that's a joke. And also, I don't think like I would be able to be here without the support from my husband. So I think like, yeah, okay, we are like really the majority in the industry, but we can all work together. Like me and my husband, we help a lot of women to get into the industry too. Like a few like me, agent, and we also help Africa America to get into the multifamily, and also the other two women, they are like me. We were not born in the US, but we were able to get into the industry. Yeah.
So I think it's interesting. Standing out is great. Obviously, we all stand out one way or another. Of course, that's why we're up here. We're standing out up here. But a comment about allyship also. I just want to throw this in, since you opened up the door, talking about the support from your husband.
Yes.
Allyship, I think, is also really important for success. Young person, older person, whatever that may be. It's not all just tied to being a woman in the industry. what are your thoughts about the value of allyships, and how do you go and create those for yourself, or do they just happen to come your way?
I think that as, oh, sorry, do you want to go ahead?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. With allyship, I think women as a whole are already natural collaborators. I think that we enjoy being able to help other people on their journeys, whether that be in real estate, whether that be providing tips and insight into social media strategies and business. I just think that it's super important that we all, continue to work together, not only to lift each other up, but also to be able to share that value along the way. So yeah, I think it kind of just comes natural, that kind of empathetic, motherly kind of nature. And I don't think that that's a bad thing.
I couldn't agree more as well. I feel like as far as partnerships goes and making allies in the business, it is the most vital thing that you can do. Like everyone here, networking, getting to know each other, that's the best thing that you can ever do for yourself, because you don't know where a connection is going to lead you down the road. You're one handshake away from the best deal of your life. You don't know unless you take that next step, unless you move forward and put yourself out there, make those friends, but also continue to foster that relationship. You can't just let it die after this event. You have to continue to be a part of the community and really dive deep. I think that's super important in any business.
Yeah, working as a team is better than just like go alone by yourself.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of entrepreneurs who believe that they only get the best answers by talking to themselves.
That's very true.
Whether or not that's a long-term strategy, I'm not really sure, but a lot of people do use that as a path.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, I would say that whatever is your strength, you offer that to someone, and then figure out what is your weakness and look for that in whoever you want to partner with, so that as a team, you cover all the bases. So when you network with people here, you figure out, these are the things I like to do. Let's call it a multifamily deal. I really like finding the deal. I'm good with brokers, as an example. Maybe you need a partner to raise capital. So forming a team so that you complement each other and figure out each other's roles is so important. So on my very first deal, I partnered with two gentlemen with whom I have absolutely nothing in common. They're as outdoorsy as you can imagine. One of them is a snowboarder. The other one is always outdoors. I think they live 23 out of 24 hours of their day outdoors. I'm your Asian geek. I love my math and I stare at spreadsheets all day. Okay, so, but that's perfect opposites, right? So they have personalities to attract a certain type of investor, and I attract a different kind of investor. And together as a team, we covered all bases. So don't be afraid to talk to people who are so different from you that you're like, we got nothing in common except making money, because we all want to make money in real estate for us, for our investors, and taking care of our communities. So don't be afraid to speak to somebody next to you who you think you have nothing in common with, because you found the greatest allies that way.
Can I just add one other thing too?
Yeah.
That I used to think when I first got started in real estate that it was just all on me. Like I need to go out and source the deals. I need to raise the capital. I need to just figure out everything all on my own. And it was very quickly recognized that real estate is a team sport and you're not meant to do it alone. So if you find those partnerships and those people that you vibe really well with, because you have to remember too that you are essentially in a marriage with, whoever it is that you've partnered with, because these deals are, if you're in multifamily, you're holding on average 5 to 7 years. You have to like who you're partnering with. So remember that too, that it's a team sport and you have to collaborate and work together.
So with that conversation, I'm going to basically walk away from women's traits in leadership, because we've already proven that point. We're going to go to like the post-pandemic Great Resignation. So coming out of our recent couple of years, the movement of talent, either from companies or to other companies or shifting, however that is. And as we're calling it the Great Resignation, of course, no one's also talking about the fact that people may be resigning here, but they're going there unless they're independently wealthy. And I don't know a ton of folks in that space. Women, however, coming out of the great pandemic have been identified, maybe it's not a totally proven point, but I have seen evidence of it, of being the most negatively affected sector of employees through this whole process of the pandemic. All the things that came out of that that were disruptive seem to have affected women more than men. So what do you think about what the new normal needs to be for industry to make up for that, for industry to attract women back into the workforce, for women to feel comfortable re-engaging in the workforce when they can't be entrepreneurs and actually run their own shop? Okay, because I think one of the great advantages of being an entrepreneur is that you can do it on your schedule as much as you want to or as little as you want to. But most women in this industry don't do that. They're not in that spot. And we need to have women in the room. What do we do as an industry, as business, to make it a comfortable space for women to come back to?
Well, can I go first?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, when I heard about that, I feel like I disagree with that, because like since the pandemic, me and my team, a lot of the team members are women.
Okay.
We never stop working. We work harder than any time else before, like ever.
Mm-hmm.
So we never.
Is that good?
Yeah.
It was good to work harder.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, some people will be like, oh, I don't want to work because like it looks like scary everywhere, but we don't have fear to do that.
I don't know that I'm thinking about it from the fear factor of being around people. I think it's more attuned to some of the infrastructure cracks we found that have actually facilitated women in the workforce. Childcare issues, schooling issues, family challenges, all those things that more, and it may be a stereotype, but seem to have more historically fallen on women, have led them to rethink where they want to be in business and how they want to engage in business. And business needs them in the room and at the table. So how does business create a new normal that works?
I think that a lot of these companies need to embrace flexibility and remote work options. I would say that, with the lack of childcare, the daycare is closed, the preschool's closed, that a lot of, all of the extra things along with taking care of the household, whatnot, has relied on us. And when we are working and we're working from home and we're homeschooling our kids, like there's so many extra duties that just get put on top of us. And for those, and I feel that even as an entrepreneur, like my kids show up on Zoom calls sometimes, or I'm, recording a podcast and I hear my daughter come in and she's singing Elsa and Anna, and I'm like, shooing away, go find daddy. And so that's just one thing that we as women have learned to embrace and be okay with the new norm. But I do think that with us being able to get so much work done, even from home, that it shows that companies don't need to have women in right there in their cubicles or in their offices to get work done. We're more than capable to just do it from home, wherever we need. I work from the park sometimes. It is what it is.
I think similarly, I actually pointed this out on one of our team Zoom calls, that a woman who works on our team, her kids are constantly popping into the Zoom call. But there's a man who has actually 4 kids and she only has 2. And I never see his kids pop in. And they're at home equally the same amount. And it's a vast difference, right? It's like, wow, okay, this is interesting. When her kids pop in, we don't mind at all, right? Hi to the kids and we love it. But it is a stark difference, right? When everyone had to go work from home, which I've been working from home prior to anything happening, so it didn't affect me as much. But if you were working in an office and now you had to go home, all of your duties just got placed in one and there's no escape. And everything just got doubled, right? Especially when the kids were out of school. That's a very, very intense thing to then have to be a 24/7, homemaker, right? And taking care of the kids and doing your job, and you don't have any escape from any of it. That's a lot. So I think that definitely flexibility, adaptability, and making sure that companies understand that's going to happen and that's fine and it's okay. I do think being entrepreneurs, and many of you here today are entrepreneurs, we do have the advantage that we can build our lives a little bit more flexibly. If not go into work until 11 and leave at 3. Who cares? That's your life. You're building your business and whatever you want. I think that the traditional 9 to 5 is no longer suitable. And I think that there does need to be, you know, changes made there to be able to make it more, it has to change. It has to work differently, especially for women, because there needs to be more flexibility with the additional challenges that we're facing, basically.
So before we step into your comment, let's just take that to the next level. So as entrepreneurs with your own firms, what are you doing? What have you done to make it better, make it to accommodate and reflect some of those post-pandemic challenges that people are having in order to keep your teams productive and, you know, moving the business model forward? So what do you think?
So I tend to be a problem solver. So whatever the challenge is, I figure out this is what works for me and this is what's going to work for my company. Let's say if I was reporting in a corporate structure or now as an entrepreneur, and I just do time blocks. So I schedule the hours that I need to be like on a Zoom call on a podcast and my kids can't come in. Well, I need childcare figured out, or my kids get, you know, unlimited TV time as an example. Or we pool together resources in the community so that kids have something else to do. For me, the huge advantage is now my kids are in the teen kind of ages, so they sleep in the mornings. So I start my meetings super early, like 6 in the morning, I'm already in a meeting. And typically I end by 11, which is when they're awake and they want my time. So I tend to find a way to resolve issues that way rather than just find my workarounds. So in the corporate world, I would do the same thing. I used to work for 15 years in the at Texas Instruments as an engineer. And it's the same thing. You figure out what works for you and you negotiate with your boss or whoever is in charge to make it work for you so that you solve the problem. Now, if I had women reporting to me in a work environment and I needed them at certain hours, I would tell them, find childcare for these hours, whether it's you or somebody else, because these are the hours that I need you like on camera kind of setting without interruptions. Or, hey, these are flexible hours. As long as this job gets done by this day, like my investor newsletter gets published by this day, or my article gets done by this day, then it's, you know, I don't care whether you have 10 kids in the room or not, or what time of day or what time zone you're sitting in, right? So you know which jobs have that flexibility and which duties have that flexibility and which ones don't. And that's how you adapt as a team, because it's so individual, whether it's in your corporate world, in your entrepreneurship world, et cetera, real estate, you know the hours that are flexible and the hours that are not. So you time block accordingly and find solutions.
Now, you said you've been working harder than ever, which may or may not be a good thing. I mean, I think, you know, one of the interesting outcomes of this is that when you're working from home more, you're not in a space, everything kind of runs together. That productivity goes off the charts, but does that burn you out?
Well, so like at the first few months of the pandemic, yeah, we did like quite a lot of work done, but it was pretty productive actually. And well, for us, we were lucky that we got my parents or my husband's parents help on that, but some of our employees, they couldn't have this support from the family. So we allowed them to bring the kids to the clubhouse there, so they can like have a TV or something on while they were working. So that's the support we got to our employee. And then sometimes if they need to leave early because of the kids, they got the job done, or they can like catch up tomorrow, the next day. We are flexible on that.
I think flexibility is definitely going to be the key going forward. How everybody figures out what flexibility means is kind of up to them, right? Yeah. But I do think there is a slight disconnect between what some talent may think is flexibility and what some companies may think is flexibility. But we all need the talent in the room. We need the talent with us somewhere. So we're going to have to figure that out, be it men, women, whomever. This is a challenging time in team building and corporate culture and company culture and all of that when people are kind of all over the place. So one of the things that I think is really an interesting challenge is trying to understand, and this is another question you guys didn't have. I thought about it this morning in the shower. I was like, I'm going to see what they think about this. The unspoken rules of success. So there has been in the corporate world always that thought that there are unspoken rules. That if you don't know the game, you're definitely not going to be as successful as you want to be. I think that there are unspoken rules for being an entrepreneur, being a female entrepreneur, and also just engaging in the business world. So I'd love your thought on what you think is maybe the key unspoken rule you wish you knew.
I think success looks different for everyone. I think that people, you know, for some, maybe success means living this very lavish lifestyle and having a lot of money and, you know, just never going without anything. I also think too that a lot of times we embody success based on external factors. So we are comparing ourselves to other people and what they've done and measuring ourselves against that as to what success should look like for us. And I think that's one thing that we need to stop doing. I know at the end, you know, we've talked about one of the questions was a book. So I'm going to recommend something to kind of help everyone get out of that space. But success, I don't know. I think a lot of it is just dependent on, you know, where you are in that moment. Because for me, I guess a piece of success is having a great marriage, having support from my husband. That is a huge piece of how I've developed and gained what I have today in my business, was coming from the success of our marriage. And I would say that that just kind of looking back and seeing how far you've come as well, that's success in and of itself. We all start with zero. We start with no properties. We, you know, maybe some of us have, you know, had things handed down. I know from myself, I didn't start with anything, no knowledge, no real estate background. And so you look back and you realize, like, I'm here on stage talking to all of you guys, like, that success, just having this opportunity. So I think
the unspoken rule for you is that don't measure your success by other people.
Measure it within yourself.
Measure it within yourself. Cool.
Success to me is about serving my customers, which are two-pronged, which is the residents of the property. So if I made the community better than when I found it, then it's a great success. And the other success is my investors, right? If my investors are happy with the results, then that's it. So that's my definition of business success, which is my two customers are always happy, the residents and the investors. Of course, on the personal side, it's quality of time, right? More than quantity of time. So if I get the freedom to travel, like tomorrow I'm on a flight to India, I can still do my business from wherever I am. That's great, that's success. And here I am in the summers, especially at all these conferences. So to me, freedom of time is my personal success. That means I get to hang out with my kiddo as much as I want and my husband as much as I want, and we go on vacations together, but I'm still running a business. So personal side, it's freedom of time. Business, it's serving my two customers.
So what's your unspoken rule that you wish you knew?
Oh, the unspoken rule is only worry about the two customers in your business life.
Okay. Right.
So the unspoken rule for me was like, I wish I realized that if I could get to know that I can get a mentor or coach earlier to your business or, I mean, your future, that might shorten my time to get here.
So that rule would be?
Like, get somebody who is the expert or mentor to help you to get across that barrier faster.
So is the unspoken rule, don't be afraid to ask for help? Okay. And I know a lot of people really struggle with that. Especially once you reach a certain point in your career, you think you should know everything, or you've done something, you think you should know the answer. And sometimes there's an expert that knows something beyond your awareness, your ability to see.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What do you think?
My unspoken rule for success would be having boundaries. I think that as entrepreneurs, we're pretty bad at having boundaries sometimes.
I agree.
Especially we allow everything to merge and life becomes work and work becomes life. And I think that it's really important to kind of make sure that most entrepreneurs are running 200 miles an hour. If you don't take that moment to have that break, to set that boundary, to take that respite, then you're not going to last in the long run, right? Eventually you will run out. It is so important to take care of yourself, whatever that might look like, but building in those times and being able to say no. Shiny pennies are really fun, but it's going to drive you off the wall if you just keep going and going and going for everything there. You have to eventually say no to certain things and just have those boundaries. And you don't need to necessarily express them outwards. It's for you. It's for you to know when it's time to say no.
Yeah, I'd agree too. Time blocking as well. That's one thing that I've had to learn to embrace. My little ones are 6 and 3, and I have to adjust to preschool schedules where they are done at 2 o'clock. Who gets out of school at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right? So a lot of that too is balancing that with like my husband's schedule, who's as equally as busy as I am. But I love how, you know, how you've said that as well. It's just, it's important to have those boundaries. I don't know about you. I'm sure you've experienced this, but I get investors who call me or text me at like 7 in the morning on a Saturday. Hey, can you talk? No, it's Saturday at 6 in the morning. I'm with my family. So yeah, you do have to learn to say no and embrace those boundaries. I think that's excellent.
Also helps avoid burnout. And I think one of the biggest challenges that most of us have who are entrepreneurial is that risk of burnout. Back to not having boundaries, everything runs together. You're constantly trying to keep every ball in the air. And you need to know when to say, this is me time. Self-care is a great healer. Really, really important. So we do have some young people here who are in high school. And we also have some young women who are maybe earlier in their careers. What do you think what are some of the key skills that you think help support success, help lead you to success? What do you recommend the skills for young women to kind of work on developing in order to be as successful as you guys are?
I really think that young women need to focus on saying goodbye to anxiety and fear and saying yes to being a part of something bigger. You know, what do they call it? Where imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome. So many young women I work with are like, well, I've never done it. How can I do it? And it's like, just do it. What do you think anyone else did? They just started. They just did it. Do it. And you're going to learn through the mistakes and you're going to learn through the questions you have along the way. And someone's going to guide you and show you what you need to do. And you can do this. So I think it's a lot of easing their minds and letting them know like they are absolutely worthy. You can do this. Someone started just like you. As soon as you can drop that veil and understand that everyone was once where you were, potentially, it really eliminates a lot of fear. And then you can be able to say, if they did this, I guess I could. So I think it's like reducing that anxiety and fear and letting them know you're absolutely worthy, you're absolutely able, just go do it.
So what is the pathway to getting to that point? I mean, because a lot of these young women are very successful. They were successful in college. They were successful in high school. Everything is going, but they still have this. So is there some skill, some effort, some particular way you think they develop past their imposter syndrome?
Interesting. I think it's internal. I hate to say that, but it is. It's something.
The skill is to talk to yourself.
It's something in your heart and mind and soul where you have to get in alignment and know that, no, you can. It's like a conversation you're having with you. I guess it is. You have to make that happen because if your head and your mind aren't in the same place, you won't make decisions quickly. You won't be as successful. You're going to be hesitant. You have to be in alignment. So I think it is an internal conversation to make sure that you are on the right path and knowing and getting to know what your gut feels. A lot of people ignore their gut when something comes up, and it's like, you have to know intrinsically what's going on.
Okay. Yeah. Know yourself.
Know yourself.
One thing I would definitely recommend is, if you don't already have it, is definitely financial literacy. So no matter what age you are, it's okay to start from scratch. Understand how does compound interest works, something as fundamental as that, right? Understand the financials of your basic household, okay? This is how much comes in, this is how much goes out, okay? Same thing, you can apply it on a larger scale to an apartment. It's like balancing a household's budget. You take it and you apply it to a $200 apartment. It's very similar. It's just a few more zeros at the end before the decimal point, right? So it's the same thing. This is my expenses, this is my revenue, this is my other income. I subtract that, that's my net operating income. Just like that with your household budget. Don't be afraid of financial literacy. Understand those calculators. You have numerous resources online to learn these things, so you don't have to wait or be afraid of looking dumb to somebody else. There's tons of resources out there that were not available to some of us oldies from a few decades ago, right? We had to actually go ask somebody or read a book. You got tons of YouTube videos to learn it. So be financially astute in evaluating any business, anything at any time. You should be the financial guru of your household. That's a fundamental skill that don't walk away from. It doesn't matter what kind of grades you got in math. That has nothing to do with it. Just go learn it. Your past does not define you. Your future is up to you. So that's where the internal confidence comes from that my panelist was just referring to. The next skill you need is defining your path, right? That's a very difficult thing to do. If you're not sure what to do the next 3 steps, right? Find somebody who is the role model for you. I want to be just like this person in 5 years. Then follow them like crazy. Find 3 to 4 people like that and do everything that they do. Try to copy them, try to mimic them. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So I look at some people and I see what they do really, really well, and I go copy them. There's some people who are great on social media, so I copy them. Yona Wise, you want to know what to do in LinkedIn? Copy Yona Wise and Brian Briscoe. Okay, it's just like that. You want to be an apartment investor? What the heck does it take? Well, financial literacy. How do you underwrite a deal? Who are the people doing this? Go see if you can volunteer to work for them. If you're a high school student, right? Spend your summer working for somebody like that. There's nothing like on-the-job learning from a mentor. But that's what I would say is whatever is your target, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, find somebody doing what you want to do and copy them. Find a way to get proximity to them, follow them on channels, and learn.
So that would be financial literacy and also recognizing pathways to learn from role models. Mm-hmm. Okay, role models are incredibly important. And everybody in this room can be or should consider themselves to be a role model for a young person. Whatever it is you do it better than they do it, and they need to understand how you do it so they can actually one day be better than you. Because that's really what it's all about. It's about developing that next generation of talent so that they're better than we are. And so they learn from what we do well and what we don't do well. And actually don't be afraid to show what you don't do well. It's actually, that's really important too. Thoughts about skills?
Yeah, actually, I was going to say financial literacy as well. I'm a huge, huge advocate for that. I think that us women have to embrace learning, learning more about finance, learning more of like the skills of the trade, right? Between how she had mentioned before with budgeting, all of those skills with financial literacy transfer into apartment investing or whatever investing that you're looking for. When you look at the underwriting calculators or the smaller kind of analytical calculators for single family residential homes, all of those skills start with financial literacy. I will add one other tip too, that with underwriting, that takes practice. I had a finance background. I worked as an accountant in corporate America. And I remember the first properties that I was underwriting, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Like, why are my numbers not, matching up here or here? And it's one of those things where it just takes practice. You have to understand your market. So that also takes time. There's rules of thumb that you have to learn as well, but it all starts with learning and understanding how numbers work. So I would definitely say that. Also, one other thing too is to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I know that sounds odd, but like you think about growth, and growth never happens inside of your comfort zone. You sit there, you're very comfortable, you're used to doing some of the same things over and over again. Like there's not really that much growth. And if there is, it's very, it's small, gradual growth. In order to get outside of the box, you have to get uncomfortable and know that that's okay.
I do think the being comfortable with being uncomfortable is pretty key to stretching your capabilities. And back to having the confidence to do the things you haven't done before, right? And putting all that package together. And one plug for like real estate finance. If anybody actually wants to work on that, wants to work on their real estate finance and investment skill sets, there are programs in the city, such as our graduate certificate in real estate finance and investment, that you can take to help you sharpen those skills and give you a very holistic look on it in case you decide, One day, maybe you don't want to do multi-housing, or you want to do something different in multi-housing. So those sort of resources are definitely out there. So definitely something to work into. And so what do you think about skills?
Well, I think like dream big.
Dream big?
Yeah, and then make a plan.
Okay.
Like 3 months, half year, or a year, 3 years, 5 years, just step by step to make your dream become true.
Okay.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to just like make yourself more around to the people who you want to be. Like surround the successful people around you. You will be successful too one day.
So I think that also goes to networking.
Yeah, networking like this. Yeah.
So, you know, I think everybody can do networking better. Even people I know who are great networkers can always do something better. And it is another one of the getting outside your comfort zone sort of situations. And it's also pushing for the, you know, reaching out to find those role models, those mentors, to develop those connections to help you be successful.
Yeah, and then if you need some more education, just get into the right education area you need.
Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to get more education. I always say that. That's my big deal right now.
Investing in yourself.
Investing in yourself.
Yeah.
Very cool. So we're getting close to the end. I asked you each to come up with a book that you would recommend that you think has been or has been important to you and help you become a better business person, a better woman in the industry, a better person in general, whatever that may be, just to share those thoughts with our audience. Want to go first?
That's just related to what I was just talking about. A Woman Makes a Plan by the mother of Elon Musk.
Oh, you want us to model Elon Musk?
The mother of Elon Musk.
Okay.
So a woman
the mother of Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I was like, oh my goodness.
A woman makes a plan, right? So don't be afraid. Don't set up the limitation to yourself. Okay. Just don't give up and work hard to your dream. Okay.
So a book by the mother of Elon Musk.
Yes.
Women make plans?
A woman makes
a plan.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Cool. I think The Gap in the Gain by Dan Sullivan. For some reason, I think I actually really like Dan Sullivan because I also like his book, Who Not How. And I think that both of those books really help guide you on your journey to entrepreneurship. It also, The Gap in the Gain helps with that imposter syndrome as well, and that we're able to determine our success and really see that gain based on looking backwards at, you know, a lot of our achievements. And it doesn't have to be all personal and business. It could be, you know, a mix of the two, but Who Not How and The Gap in the Gain by Dan Sullivan.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
For me, I think for women personally, you should read the book Untamed. It is a very good book just about pretty much we cannot be quiet anymore. You have to move forward and you have to shine bright because we all deserve to be at the forefront. So personally, Untamed. Professionally, the book I love to recommend is The 5 a.m. Club. And it's all about just living out life full force, going for it. And I think professionally, especially entrepreneurs, that is so important. It's right up our alley. So The 5 a.m. Club.
Great, thank you.
I like the Atomic Habits for the incremental effect of doing tiny, tiny good changes in your life. And you look back at it a year later and it's pretty incredible. And then the other book I really like is the 12-week year. So instead of looking at the whole year as 12 months to do everything, like your New Year's resolutions, I don't know where they are today, but you collapse everything into 3-month, 12-week timeframes, and that's your time frame to get something done. So I found both those books to be extremely helpful.
Wonderful. So I want to just say thank you so much to Sandia, Isabel, Nicole, and Snowy for their time and their sharing of their thoughts. And I think the idea is that women in business are here. We're in it, we're leading it, we're doing all we can. We just need to keep pushing that ball, right? Mm-hmm. And congratulations to all of you on your business success. And you know that you can connect with any of our speakers through the Whova app. They're there. I'm sure they would love to hear from you. And thank you so much for your attention and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Let's give it up for this awesome women's panel.
So amazing.